All right. Today is Wednesday. I don't know how long it is. I don't know what day it is. There's never anything new, right? I never know what day it is. Wednesday the 19th, June 19th. This is, 21? Vlog 21. Feeling good. I'm feeling a lot better. I know last night, man, I was going through something last night. Yeah, just reflecting on mortality last night. I didn't really want to talk about it, but it was really, really, really. I felt very strongly about it. My feelings, and I just wanted to share that thought, so that way I can always go back to it. The time I felt, vulnerable, most vulnerable too. On top of that, but today's going well. It has been well. On my way home, got some food, and realizing that things are okay. Things are good. I'm good. I can't pretend, or there's nothing to pretend about. As I say that, I'm saying, it's not like things are awful, things are terrible, nothing's going right. That's not the case at all. It's more or less just me trying to work through my thought process. It really is. Like I said, I don't think that. I think I'm at the height of where I'm supposed to be at right now. Not height as in I'll come back down, but height as in I'm at a different level now, and this is now forever will be the standard now. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to get used to. I'm trying to get used to this newfound level of things and maintaining it and not dipping underneath it or anything like that. Just really trying to maintain where I'm at when it comes to certain things. That's basically it, man. I really don't have much to share today. Like I said, it's not like I started this to talk about my day in any kind of order or anything else. It was really just to express myself, mainly to myself. I think I share it with everyone, just to kind of, I don't know, to create relatability. Really, I'm not really planning on this to be something lucrative in a sense. I strictly wanted to kill two birds with one stone, talk about my feelings, and also make content and actually put it on YouTube and do things, in that direction. Because I've been talking about doing it forever, and I've started a couple times. It's just never been consistent. So that's what I want to be. I want to be consistent and also constant. I always want to be a constant factor. I guess I'll talk about that. I'll talk about how I envision myself in other people's lives. And I think I spoke briefly on this before, how I want to be consistent in how I stand in people's lives. But it makes me realize that there are people where I want to be a constant variable. What I'm saying? I want to be a never shifting, forever, placed object in someone's life. To where I am there to share positive, positivity, reinforce positive notions, towards somebody. I guess the real question is, well, how can I do that? Is it through constant communication? Is it through constant reach out and telling them, that I'm thinking about them, that I care about them, that things like that, or is it, you know, or maybe it's really just kind of reaching out and forming a different type of relationship with them. And I guess my biggest challenge with that is that that has to be reciprocated. It needs to be a mutual goal. And not to say that I don't have that with certain people now. I think I do. I know that I do. So it's really just more or less being consistent and constant with other people, with new people, in a way. I haven't really started that journey yet, and every time I keep telling myself, all right, well, let me go ahead and see, maybe I should interact with someone this way or interact with them that way. It's still very iffy, and I think that for the most part, for me, and it's iffy on my end, you know what I'm saying? I still hesitate, I still second guess, and I think because, in a way, I am still trying to figure things out with the current relationships that I do have. And I think that, I don't know if I'll be able to move forward unless I address those first. And then part of me feels like that shouldn't be an excuse. Like, I should be able to move on and form relationships. And I guess it's like, well, I want to learn from my mistakes too. Like, I don't want to just out here. I just don't want to be out here seeing, just forming different relationships with different people and for them all to just kind of, fade away, just for the simple fact that I never learned to maintain the ones that I currently have. So it's just a weird place that I find myself in terms of forming new relationships and working on something when I already have those relationships and I'm not putting in that same amount of effort, in a way, if that makes sense. So, I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to do things in a particular manner where I still get what I need out of a relationship kind of deal. So, I think that's it. I also think that I do need to kind of talk about it with Shana and kind of figure out, her and I were having a discussion. I don't know if it was last night, maybe it was the night before that, but we were talking about, the early years of her and I relationship, and it wasn't the greatest. We had good moments, we even had great moments per se, but, her and I also had a very toxic relationship, and, talking about it and sharing each other's headspace as far as where we were thinking and what we were thinking and why we thought that way and how, how the way we thought affected how we interacted with each other. It taught me something, but for the most part, it also scared me too, because I never thought that I never thought that I was that far deep. So hearing her kind of relive these moments and tell me her train of thought kind of deal, it brought me back to a place where I didn't necessarily want to go to at that point. And I feel like for me, I have to be confronted with that, because I need to understand that what I was doing at the time wasn't best. And for me, how I thought about it, I figured that I was just living me. I was just trying to do me. And it wasn't even like I was out there just like acting reckless and being wild. I just simply wanted to have a good time, and I wanted to be around people that also wanted to have a good time. In terms of hanging out, shooting the shit, drinking, partying, in that manner. And it just, that wasn't what she wanted, because it caused a lot of conflict. It caused a lot of friction between her and I. And I think now that I'm older, I can say, I wasn't ready for a relationship. At the same time, I also didn't want to be alone either. It was the weirdest thing. And me being 21, not really knowing what a real relationship looks like growing up, and how it should, and how two people should actually communicate with each other, everything felt very me versus you. And even though that wasn't my intent, that was the reality of it. And I think my standpoint of it all was, I was not ready for a relationship. I didn't necessarily want a relationship. I didn't want to be alone either, and I didn't understand that. And I think part of it is because I don't know how to have a meaningful. I didn't know how to have a meaningful relationship with people for the most part. So for me, it was all about having people close to me all around. And getting something different from each person, but not necessarily reciprocating any kind of feeling back. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to lose anything or anyone in my life. I made decisions based off of what I thought was what I wanted, when in reality it would produce results that I didn't want. And now looking back at it, it makes me wonder, how long have I been operating like this? I think I don't know how to think. I just know that what I was doing wasn't right. And again, I wasn't moving reckless. I wasn't acting. I wasn't out there doing a bunch of wild shit. But at the same time, I wasn't ready for a relationship. I wasn't ready to be in a committed relationship with Shana at the time, and not in the manner that she would like it. And even now, it's like, her and I are more or less on the same page with certain things, but her and I also are able to communicate in a better manner that allows us to still be separate from one another. I didn't know how to be my own person. Now that I have a little bit more experience, I'm actually teaching someone else how to be their own person, raising my son and shit like that. I make it, I'm learning as I go, and I start to realize a lot of different things that, I didn't necessarily pick up on growing up, or I wasn't aware of, just things I just wasn't aware of, because I didn't have anyone to explain it to me in a way that I could understand. And I think that, when we, as adults, when I use sentences with AJ, like, when I tell him to do something, he asks me why, and I tell him, it's just because, or, just those blanket statements of wait until you get older and become your own person. Like, that doesn't mean anything to someone that's 17. That doesn't mean anything to someone that's, 21 at that matter, at that point. I didn't know how to critical think. I didn't know how to I didn't have any critical thinking skills when it came to how I interacted with people, how I shared feelings with people, and I think that's detriment. No one was ever able to explain it to me in a manner that I could understand it and comprehend what they were trying to say. And now that I'm older, I'm looking back at it like I just really didn't know. I just really didn't know. So now I am, so here I am in a relationship where my actions are causing someone else's pain, and all I did was chalk it up to, well, that's how relationships are supposed to be. And that's not how relationships are supposed to be. It's not meant to be toxic. It's not meant to be wasteful. It's not meant to be, all these different things. And at least that's not what I want for relationships. I don't want toxic relationships and wasteful, and just and wasteful relationships. That's not what I want. So really, just looking at it now, it makes me more aware of all the different things that people used to tell me growing up. One that stands out in particular was really just one that stands out, and I think a lot of people hear it too. It's get to know yourself before you get in a relationship with somebody else, and love yourself, and just do things like that. And it's like, that didn't mean anything to me. Now at 30, that means everything to me. Like, know what I'm saying? I don't want to be a cliff note in someone else's life. You know what I'm saying? I want to be me, my own person in my own life, and be able to share my experiences with someone else. You know, that didn't necessarily mean anything to me at 17. It didn't mean anything to me at 19, or at 20 and 21, to even at 25. It didn't mean anything to me until I was 20, until just about AJ was born. And I realized that my actions actually affect someone else. Someone else that couldn't react to my actions. You know what I'm saying? I knew that my actions did affect people, but for the most part, people will be people, and they're adults, and people can choose to be part of that, whatever I choose to do. But when AJ was born, it made me realize that he cannot react to how I move in this world. He will just have to accept whatever I do, and whatever I do will affect him so greatly that it will, it will or will not bring him harm. So that's what made me start to realize that, okay, I need to, one, be a better person, but I also understand what kind of person I am. And at, 17, 19, 21, I did not. I don't know. I do know. I don't know. I look back at it, and it just makes me wonder how long was I moving like this, and then I look back at certain situations, and it's like, well, what could I have, what signs did I see, or what do I remember of the situations to where I could have pulled myself out and I just blatantly chose not to. It's weird. It's weird. I just don't know how to act or how to maneuver like that. I never. My intentions were never just to blatantly hurt people. And looking back at it, looking at certain situations, even though that wasn't my intent, the impact of it is very real. The impact of me hurting somebody is very, very real. And that's something that I never want. I never want to put someone else through that. You know what I'm saying? More or less put myself through that. I should have been able to learn from my errors. Or I should at least, and if I wasn't able to learn from my errors, I should have been able to look at my actions and say, okay, this is wrong. And I think a lot of part of it, I just felt like I was so right, so definite in those decisions that I couldn't even see what I was doing. And I just don't know how I operated like that for so long until AJ was born. And then that's another thing. It's like, I personally feel that, like, I had kids late. If you look at everyone else, most people in my family, the older generation of my family, I had kids late. So for me to have AJ at 25, and I still feel like I still had him too young, it says a lot. I don't ever wish to change anything, but for me, it's like, I know that I was too young to have kids, and I knew that I was too immature to maneuver myself responsibly. And I still think I turned out all right, because, I bought a house. I did some good things with my life at a young age, but a lot of it was forced because I knew that I needed to be more responsible for another human being. It's a lot to digest, because I'm all over. It wasn't a consistent thought right now. But I do feel that reflecting on my early 20s, again, 17, 19, 20, 21, I bring those specific ages up because for me, that's when I made a lot of different changes that I felt were definite for me. Though that's just how I felt. I look back at it now, and I don't necessarily think it was wrong, but it wasn't for anyone else's well-being. And at some time, and at some decisions, it wasn't even in my best interest. It wasn't even my well-being. It was strictly just to feel like I was in control. And that should never be a reason of why you move or operate or do things. I never want to. I don't want people to make decisions based on how much control they have or how much control they think they would have over me. And I just don't understand. I don't clearly see why I was moving in that same manner. But to say, right? You got to be evil in order to know evil, kind of deal. Or you got to experience good in order to know evil, or experience evil in order to know good. So I don't know, one of those things, but I don't know. I need to make a conscious effort of doing things much better. I need to make a conscious effort in doing things that will benefit me without the detriment of someone else. I feel like a lot of decisions I did, it didn't even benefit me, but it was just so that that no one else would have a sense of control over me. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a pride thing, an ego thing, because I never consider myself to be prideful or having a large ego. So I don't even know what that is. I don't even know if that was a defense mechanism, of hurt people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what that is. I just knew that I didn't. Whatever decision I made is strictly because I didn't like the current direction that was happening. I don't know if that was just me being mad radical in my decision-making process or what, but I do know now that that's not what I want. That's not how I move. That's not that's not how I operate. I don't make decisions just to have control or to make someone else feel out of control. I don't do that. I really try to look for solutions that will benefit both parties. A lot to think. I should have really split this up in 2 videos. I was all over the place, and I apologize if you're trying to follow what the hell I'm going through, but yeah, that's what it is.